Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, Brooke Ashley, and today we are here to discuss The Real Housewives of New Jersey, Season 12, Reunion Part 1, and OMG, what the entire F did we all watch? Teresa has lost every piece of her mind. If you're a Teresa fan, I love you. But I'm telling you right now, I have nothing nice to say about your fave. And that's an understatement. That woman is good and crazy. Jen, I can't say what I want to say because you can't curse in the first 90 seconds of YouTube. So I'm going to just leave that for later on in this recap. I'm going to let you know something else, that this recap probably won't be in order. And it might not even be a recap. It might be a full-blown rant. But before we get into that, I have to give a big thank you to my friends over at Dossier. Hey guys, I am back. You guys know that I am a Dossier ambassador, and my good friends over at Dossier sent me over some brand new scents for the month of May, and I'm just super excited. As you all know, that Dossier is the place to go if you are looking for some amazing fragrances at a fabulous price. You do not have to spend an arm and a leg to smell great. So the first scent I'm gonna try is the Woody Tobacco. So the top notes in the Woody Tobacco are lemon, pink pepper, and neroli. And I love a good neroli. So I'm very excited to try this out. And the Woody Tobacco is inspired by Maison Margiela, Replica Jazz Club, Eau de Toilette. So you guys know it's gonna smell good. I love Maison Margiela's scent, so I'm really excited to try the Woody Tobacco. So this is the Woody Tobacco, and again, I love the bottle, I love the packaging, and I'm super excited. Oh my gosh, guys. The Woody Tobacco, I think this might be in my top 2. This is fabulous. I'm going to get so much wear out of this summer. I'm going to be outside, all right? And this Woody Tobacco is going to have all the men outside. Like, this is everything. Very sexy. And it's not too overpowering. It's just right. I'm in love. You can really smell all the different notes in it. I smell the vanilla, I smell the neroli, and I'm in love. This is definitely a top tier scent. So while the Woody Tobacco has already stolen my heart, I'm really excited to try the aromatic pineapple because I love pineapple, I love citrus, I love fruits, I think of pina coladas, I think of summertime, so I'm really excited to try this one out. So the top notes for the aromatic pineapple are bergamot, ginger, pineapple, and then amberwood and cedarwood. And the aromatic pineapple was inspired by YSL's Y Eau de Parfum. So again, super excited. I love YSL scents, and I know that aromatic pineapple is not going to disappoint. And this is the aromatic pineapple, guys. Oh, this smells divine. This reminds me a lot of Dolce & Gabbana's Light Blue. And this is going to be another perfect summer scent. It's just right, not too heavy. It's sexy, it's fun. I definitely see myself spritzing this when I'm going to brunch with the girls. This is a hit. You smell the pineapple, you smell all the other fabulous notes in it. I'm loving this. I mean, again, Dossier really is that girl when it comes to fragrances because so far they have not missed. I have loved every single scent that I've picked out. So y'all, I really hope that you guys enjoyed. Again, Dossier has fabulous fragrances at amazing prices. You don't have to spend an arm and a leg to smell great. And they also make for great gifts. If maybe you're a bride-to-be, if you want to gift your bridesmaid something special, definitely look into copping some scents from Dossier. Graduation gifts, birthday gifts, a gift for yourself. You guys already know that I have the link down below if you want to check them out. But again, a big thank you to my friends over at Dossier because I'm just so honored to be an ambassador. And thank you again for sending me these lovely scents for the month of May. I'm super excited. But y'all, let's just jump right on into this recap because we don't have a minute to spare. So let's just get the basics out of the way. Fashion-wise, I wasn't blown away by what anybody was wearing. If I had to choose, I would say that Melissa looked the best. Teresa's jumpsuit was a miss. Jen, it's been better than it's been in the last few reunions, but Jen in my book is always just very tacky, very gauche. It's just the pieces never hit. For you to have all this money to be Chanel down, I mean, girl, it just does not seem to come together for whatever reason. But I didn't hate her outfit, I just didn't love it. Margaret, sis, I love you, I've been on your side, but I wasn't feeling the dress. The hair was a bit too messy for me. I was like, girl, I wanted you to really just give us more. Dolores looked good. Jackie's look was okay. I mean, I wasn't blown away by it, nothing memorable. But yeah, those are my thoughts about the fashions. Andy likes to do his little pleasantries in the beginning, but you can just tell that the vibe is all the way off. I mean, the tension is thick. You can cut it with a knife. Andy starts it off with Jackie and Dolores' friendship and the bumps in the road that they faced. So, of course, their little tiff that almost resulted into a fight on Dolores' part comes up. Andy goes on to ask Jackie if she was afraid of Dolores. Jackie says, no way. I knew that she was mad, but she's not crazy. I did not think for a second that she'd be out of her mind to hit me. So Dolores says, I have a core anger issue that I'm trying to work on. And baby, I got my entire life when Margaret jumped in and said, at our age, it's time to cut the shit out. I said, thank you, Margaret. Y'all are going on damn near 60. Y'all look crazy rolling up to fight somebody because you're mad at what they said. And if you have all this uncontrolled rage and anger inside of you, maybe go see a therapist. So here's where things get really messy. Andy brings up Jackie defending Jen this season, and Jackie says, yes, I went through something similar last year, and I wanted to be a friend for Jen because I felt like Dolores was kind of flip-flopping. So now Jen interjects, and she's trying to get nasty with Jackie. So Jackie clears her and says, babe, at the end of the day, my husband did not cheat on me. Yours did. And can we quickly discuss how Jen kept inserting herself every time it was somebody else's turn to speak? And she sounded so stupid each and every time. So now Jackie continues by saying that Dolores was telling Jen and Margaret that they were both right in the situation. So now Dolores interrupts because she wants to clear her name. And I said, Dolores, just own it, sis. You're a flip-flopper. Like, you don't truly have anybody's back. You're always trying to play neutral, always trying to play Switzerland, when it's like, girl, just stand on something. Whose side are you on? So mind you, now Jen interrupts Dolores, and so she and Dolores start getting into it. She goes on to say that Dolores jumped ship, and Dolores is insulted. She's like, girl, I was trying to have your back, and now you want to sit up here and turn on me? But Dolores, why are you surprised? You see how Jen is? Jen also isn't loyal to other people. She's only loyal to Teresa. Jen is one of those people that you have in your life as an associate. You guys might go out to lunch every once in a while, go shopping, you know, have a cute little key here and there. You see each other at social events, and then you keep it pushing. She's not somebody where you're really going to try to invest to have a deep friendship with. She's just not that girl. So now Andy cuts in, and he reads a viewer question asking Dolores, why was she so cold to Jen, telling her to stop crying when she had that housewarming at her townhouse? So Dolores says, look, that wasn't my intention. Me and her had a conversation beforehand, and I said, look, you know, don't cry. You have a beautiful life, a beautiful family. You know, don't let these girls see you sweat. So now Jen interjects, and of course, she has to play the victim. And she says, yeah, we did have that conversation beforehand, but it felt very cold. So Dolores is like, are you serious right now? Like, you're just a liar. Because we were having a good conversation. I was giving you advice. You know good and damn well I wasn't trying to be cold or callous towards you. But again, Jen is a liar. She's not to be trusted. She's going to flip on you because Teresa's watching. So Jen and Dolores go back and forth. Jen is saying that she's tired of Dolores' backhanded compliments. And now Dolores says, you know what, girl, you are sick in the head, you are crazy, and me and you will never be friends. Like, I am done with you. Then Dolores apologizes to Margaret, Melissa, and Jackie for ever defending Jen. I said, Dolores, a round of applause to you for finally waking up and seeing how evil Jen truly is. And I really can't wait for the day that Teresa turns on Jen and Jen is scrambling and crying because the fact that she's burned all her bridges in this group, she's gonna have nobody. Now, Andy goes on to ask Dolores another question, and Jen interjects before she can even answer. And it reminded me a lot of Emily in the OC reunion. If you watch OC, then you know that their season just wrapped, and Emily kept inserting herself every single time it was somebody else's turn to speak. I really can't stand when people do that. It's very evident that you just want a moment. Now, Andy wants to know how Jen felt when she heard Jackie saying that Bill should not have stuck his dick in somebody else. So, of course, Teresa, since she can't stand Jackie either, she's sitting up there talking about, oh, just terrible, how disgusting. I said, girl, what's disgusting is the fact that you act like an animal. You're the same woman who's flipped over tables, chased women out of country clubs. Season 2, I remember all that mess with you and Danielle. And you threw drinks at Margaret this season. How dare you talk about anybody's behavior or language is disgusting. You have some of the most vile, disgusting, crass, trashy behavior, and you have your nerve to fix your lips and say that what Jackie said was disgusting and terrible? Jackie told nothing but the truth. Bill should not have stuck his dick in someone else who was not his wife. Period, point blank. Y'all, I'm sorry if I'm screaming, but this reunion had me heated. Okay, like imagine how I was screaming at the TV. So anyhow, Jen says that when she heard it back, she realized that it wasn't that bad and that it was misconstrued. Then she says that she was just upset because now her kids are going to hear this. Again, stop blaming everybody else. This is Bill's fault. Bill should have never stepped out on you. Had he remained faithful, your kids would not have to hear anything of the sort. You wouldn't have to relive anything. Nobody would know of anything because, again, there would have been no affair. But he chose to step out, break his wedding vows, and now this is the boat that you guys are in. And you blaming everybody else except Bill is insanity. And I've said it before, a lot of the women on this cast are pick-me's, especially Teresa and Jen. Because they seem to give men all these passes, but let a woman say or do something, they can't stand the woman. I can't stand women like that. If your man cheats on you, get mad at your man and leave him. Don't be mad at the other woman. Your man is the one who took those vows. Your man is the one who has loyalty to you, not the other woman. And I was so happy when Jackie said, it's just so funny that women who call each other the C word are clutching their pearls at me saying that a married man should not have stuck his penis in somebody else. And Teresa can't stand when somebody clears her, so of course she and Jackie get into it. And Teresa calling Jackie a follower, I said, girl, shut up. So somebody's only a follower if they're not following you. Because if you want to call Jackie a follower, then what is Jen? Jen is a follower and your puppet. But because she's following you, you don't care. That's fine. But let somebody else have a mind of their own and they see through your BS, now they're a follower and they're just the worst person ever. Teresa, you are very blessed that you were on the cast that you're on, because I can promise you that if you were on another franchise, it would be curtains. And of course, when all else fails, Teresa brings up the analogy that Jackie made about her daughter last season. First things first, sis, if I hear analogy one more time, I'm going to scream. Also, Jackie only said that once she found out that you were spreading rumors about Evan cheating. And the fact that you're trying to play revisionist history by saying that Jackie said that analogy first, and then that's why you said the rumor, you are out of your mind. Now, Andy reads another viewer question asking Teresa, how can she be mad at Margaret when she essentially did the same exact thing to Jackie and Evan last year? And does she see how she's being hypocritical? So now Teresa says, I apologize, did I not? So Jackie says, yeah, you did, but then you kept on digging. Now Teresa gets real crazy. She calls Jackie a bitch. So here's my thing when it comes to being called a bitch. If you're gonna call me that, then all bets are off and I have every right to call you every B, every C, whatever word I want to call you, okay? I really get tired of these women because they'll call somebody a bitch, then when somebody says it to them, now they're upset. It doesn't work that way. Teresa would have been out of her seat had Jackie called her out of her name. I was just so livid, and Jackie was way too nice. I said, Jackie, I would have cursed Teresa out. I mean, I would have said some things that were just so awful that Teresa would have been crying, throwing up, and leaving the stage. And of course, Jen, being the desperate flunky that she is, decides to insert herself yet again, and she admits that she's the one who did the digging and how she was going to tell Teresa. So now Margaret says, now, for somebody who suffered an infidelity in their marriage, why would you do that to somebody else? Then Jackie jumps back in and says to Teresa that her definition of friendship is blind loyalty and somebody kissing her ass, and she is absolutely correct. In Teresa's world, it's a dictatorship. Nobody has a say in anything. It's her way or no way. And you can't have an opinion that differs from hers. If you're not saying, yes, Teresa, you're the greatest, you're the best, then you're an enemy. And I don't know how she has any friends left. So now Jackie, Teresa, and Jen are going at it. And it was just so nasty to me when Jen and Teresa were mocking Jackie and they were saying, you know, you're not strong, you're just weak, you're always crying about something. I was like, as much as Jen cries, like, just because you cry doesn't mean that you're weak. And Jackie has gone through a lot. And I was happy when Jackie said, honey, I'm stronger than the both of y'all. And somebody dealing with a severe eating disorder, that is not for the faint of heart. I know she's going through it. And that was just so evil to me. It just seemed like they wanted to break her by saying that. So now Andy wants to know where Dolores and Jackie stand. They say that they're good in their friendship. And then Andy wants to know where Dolores and Jen stand. Dolores says she's done. There is no friendship, never will be a friendship. Like, she has washed her hands of Miss Jennifer Aydin. So now we change gears in the conversation, and it is now Teresa's portion with her and her boyfriend Louie and their love bubble. So Andy starts off Teresa's segment by just mentioning how she was hesitant to bring Louie around to the group, and then he asks her if Louie regrets coming on the show. So Teresa says, well, you have to ask him. But then she says, well, you know, people were trying to hurt him. Margaret was trying to chastise him. So Margaret interrupts and says, girl, nobody was doing anything of the sort. I was just asking a question. So, of course, Teresa being immature, she keeps talking over Margaret. And she's like, yeah, you know, she was trying to hurt him. I'm like, can you just stop and use your pea brain for once? So Andy says, in all fairness, Teresa, you really can't blame Margaret because these rumors were already out there. Then he brings up how Kim D, we all remember Kim D, was saying a lot of stuff to blogs about Louie and all the things that she had heard. I said, thank you, Andy. Remind this dumb woman that Margaret didn't do anything wrong. She just asked a few questions. And that these rumors have been swirling around before Margaret even said anything. Now Teresa starts gushing about how Louie is her dream man. They've never gotten into an argument. He doesn't yell. He doesn't curse. He's just perfect. So now Andy says, well, how would you compare your relationship with Louie and Joe, your ex-husband? So now Teresa says that she's in love with Louie. And with Joe, she loved him, but she wasn't in love with him. She pretty much just got married to him so that she could just get out the house. I said, girl, if you want to get out the house, then why don't you just get your own apartment? Like, what? If I recall, when you were married to him, especially in the earlier seasons, you were always talking about how handsome he was. He was Juicy Joe. You were in love with him. He treated you like a princess. Y'all had grown up together, and he always had this crush on you. You always had a crush on him. Now all of a sudden it's, I didn't even like him. I just married him to get out the house. Girl, stop. Just admit to yourself that you were in love with a man who wasn't that much in love with you and treated you like crap for 17, 18 years. Just be honest with yourself for once. Then Andy wants to know how Joe Giudice feels about Teresa getting remarried. And so Teresa says, he's happy for me, but I think that he's still kind of sad because I'm pretty sure he's still in love with me. I said, girl, he was cheating on you, treating you like crap. I don't think that he really cares. I think that he's happy, like good riddance. And he has a girlfriend. I think he's just fine. And men move on very fast. And that's why women need to move on just as fast too, because I swear these men will not be thinking about you, okay? You'll be sitting up there crying and they already are on to the next woman. And then the next woman after that. And they have long forgotten you. So Teresa again says, don't kid yourself. Joe Giudice does not care that you have found love. Now Andy really gets messy and he brings up the prenup. He says, last time I saw you on Watch What Happens Live, you said that you did not want to sign a prenup. And all the viewers had a lot of thoughts about that. Bethany Frankel said that she would jump through the TV and strangle you if you did not sign a prenup because of what happened to her. So Teresa says, look, it's nobody's business. It's between me and Louie. And when Margaret said, why can't people care about you? Like, why is that so bad? And she just looked so stupid. It's like, Teresa, it's not going to kill you to listen to good advice. People get divorced every day. You need to protect yourself. You are a public figure on one of the hottest shows on reality TV that pays a nice chunk of change. You need to secure your future, collect all the checks, because one day you're not going to be on this show. And when that day comes, you need to make sure that your ducks are in a row. You don't want to have to pay some man because he pretended like he was Mr. Right and had money when he didn't. Again, I don't believe that you guys are star-crossed lovers. I think that this man is an opportunist and you need to watch out. So Teresa's getting defensive. She brings up her first marriage, how Joe Giudice made her sign a prenup a week before their wedding. And she almost called it off because she was so upset. And I was thinking, now that's kind of funny because what did Joe Giudice have? He was a fraud. But that prenup ended up protecting her in the end since she ended up being the breadwinner once they dissolved that marriage. So Teresa, you need to thank God that he made you sign that prenup. Andy's getting annoyed and he says, look, Teresa, as a concerned friend, somebody who cares about you, you need to sign a prenup. Teresa dismisses him and says that Louie has more than she does. I said, oh, he does? So this recent lawsuit, and they're saying that there's some bankruptcy as well? What does he do that he has more than you? And if he has so much money, why did you guys go halfsies on this new house? Because a baller would have paid for that $3.2 million house on his own. He wouldn't have needed your share. Now, would he? You had to fork over your 1.6 to him. Right there, that's giving me alarm bells. If you're a multimillionaire, why am I going 50-50 with you? I mean, I'm not going 50-50 anyway, but I damn sure am not going 50-50 with a millionaire. Again, it's a mess. Something in the milk ain't clean when it comes to Louie, and Teresa's going to end up with egg on her face, and I will be right here to watch it all. We now start discussing Teresa and Louie's engagement party. Andy brings up that the only people in the group who were invited to her engagement party were Jen and Melissa. Andy wants to know, where was Dolores' invite? Teresa's stuttering and stammering because you know how she gets when she's caught. And she says, no, because it was only for couples. Now Andy asks Dolores how she felt about not being invited. Dolores says that, she was fine at first, but then when people started asking her, that's when she started feeling bad. And then Melissa jumps in and says, I mean, I was surprised about that too, because you and Dolores have been friends for decades. So I was very surprised that she was not invited. Now, if you and I have been friends for years and you don't invite me to an engagement party, we're going to have an issue. And when I say an issue, I'm not going to scream or curse you out or anything, but I'm going to make a mental note of that and just put you in my associate file. Because obviously, we're not as close as I thought we were. That's a slap in the face. That's an insult. And Teresa making that bogus excuse about this was for couples, you sound insane. Now, Andy interjects and brings up the whole bridesmaid situation because remember, on Watch What Happens Live earlier this year, Teresa said that Melissa would not be a bridesmaid. Andy asks Teresa if that's changed. Teresa says no. Andy asks Melissa how she feels about it. Melissa says at first she wasn't hurt about it, but now after finding out that Louie's sisters are going to be bridesmaids, now she's upset, and rightfully so. I think that it is ridiculous that Melissa is not part of the bridal party. And just the cruelty in Teresa's voice during this segment when she said, "We're not close, honey. Look where I'm sitting. Look where you're sitting." And it was just nasty. Teresa really gets enjoyment being mean to Melissa. And I'm going to say my theory that I've always felt for the longest time. I have always felt that Teresa was jealous of Melissa. Always. I think that it eats her alive that Melissa is the center of her brother's world and she's not. I also think that Teresa might be jealous of Melissa's looks. I have always gotten that impression that there's some sort of weird, one-sided competition on Teresa's part when it comes to Melissa. Call me crazy, say, Brooke, you're reaching, but this is my theory, my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. There is something wrong with Teresa. I'm not saying that Melissa is innocent, but what I am saying is there is this underlying hate that Teresa has for Melissa that she cannot seem to explain. Every time people ask her, why don't you like her? It's always 1,000 excuses. She just picks at that girl for no damn reason. And I really felt bad for Melissa. You could tell that this was not acting. She wasn't playing for the cameras. She was truly hurt. And when Melissa said, and girl, don't you forget that when you were away in jail, I was the one taking care of your mother and your daughters. Don't forget that. I said, come through, Melissa. I said, let her know. I said, please remind her because she has forgotten. And for everybody on Twitter talking about, that's just not right, Melissa using the sympathy card. I said, what are y'all talking about? Melissa has every right to refresh Teresa's memory. If I helped out with your daughters and your parents when they were sick, and you want to spit in my face and say that I'm not a part of your bridal party and we're not close, we would have an issue, and I'd be bringing everything up. I was glad that Melissa reminded her who was there for her. And Melissa, I had to stand up and applaud you when you said, you know what? Let's stop faking like we have a relationship. I said, hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. Won't he do it? Stop killing yourself, trying to force a relationship that just won't happen. I want you to make peace with the fact that Teresa is never going to like you, validate you, accept you. She's just never going to do it. Not to go off on a tangent, but I remember listening to like a motivational speaker, right? And they were saying like there are some people where they hate you. You could do something nice for them and they will still find fault in it. Like you could come into some money and buy them a brand new Mercedes and they would be like, oh, well, I really wanted a Lexus. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just because it's you, they're never going to give you the satisfaction of saying, oh, thank you so much. That was nice of you. They're just never going to do it. And Teresa is never going to affirm or accept Melissa, no matter what Melissa says or does. It's never going to happen. Melissa's so angry. She brings up how at the engagement party, Melissa and Joe weren't even sitting at the family table. they were sitting with some random strangers. So Teresa has the nerve to be upset that Melissa threw her under the bus. She's like, yeah, you see how family does you? And this is why we're not close. I'm like, the way you just told Melissa that you guys are never going to be close, you don't like her, she owes you no loyalty. And I'm glad that she showed how trifling and how evil you really are. To have your brother and sister-in-law and niece and nephews sitting at a friend's table with people that they don't even know, and the rest of Louie's family and everybody else is all together at the family table, that's a disgrace. Then Teresa starts lying and says that she had no involvement in the seating arrangements. I'm like, girl, you really take us for fools. Like, you just can't help yourself with the lies. So Melissa jumps back in and says, look, Teresa, at the end of the day, it's your wedding. You can have who you want to have in the wedding. And all I'm saying is that if I were getting married, you'd be my bridesmaid. So Teresa's like, oh my gosh, like, stop it. So now Melissa says, well, actually, you were a bridesmaid in my wedding. And Teresa says, yeah, but a good sister-in-law would know to wait until after I had given birth. I was 8 months pregnant, about to pop, and I really couldn't enjoy myself because of that. So Andy is like, wait, are you serious right now? And Teresa is dead ass. I said, Teresa is truly a narcissist. To have the audacity and the gall to say that somebody else should postpone their wedding because you're pregnant. Are you insane? Like, does she hear the words that are coming out of her mouth? Again, I'm gonna need my Teresa stans to let me know down in the comments. How are you guys justifying your girl's behavior? So now Joe Gorga comes out. He looks really good. And Andy is asking Joe how he feels about his sister not including Melissa in the bridal party. He's upset. He says that it's disrespectful, it's not right, and how he would never do that to her or Louie. Then Teresa says that she did ask Joe to be a groomsman, but he declined since Melissa isn't a bridesmaid. And she has the nerve to be upset about that. I said, he's doing what a man should do, and that's standing by his wife. You're lucky that Joe even still talks to you. So of course, Teresa, Joe, and Melissa go at it. Teresa can't own up to anything. She's making snide remarks about how the wife controls everything. And it's like, girl, that's not how that works. Nobody can control another person. Joe is a good husband and he has his wife's back. That's what that is. So now Teresa says that she always wanted to be close to Melissa, but Melissa didn't want to be close to her and she's just given up. And it's like, Teresa, do you hear yourself? Then Teresa has the gall to bring up Caroline and Jacqueline and how Melissa sided with them, and that's the real reason why they're not close. And here we go with Miss Jen inserting herself in another conversation that has nothing to do with her, quite frankly. And she says, well, Melissa, Teresa's mad at you because she feels like you sided with Margaret instead of having her back. And I'm like, Jen, you are not Teresa's spokesperson or mouthpiece if you don't shut the entire hell up. So now Andy says, well, that's really funny that you all bring this up because a lot of viewers have questions for you, Teresa, about how you don't have Melissa's back. So of course, she's just sitting there looking stupid. And then Andy says flat out, can you give an example of when you had Melissa's back? She's just sitting there and she's about to open her mouth to lie. And just as fate would have it, the lights go off. I said that was God. That was God saying, girl, I'm not even going to have you sit up here and lie like this. I'm going to turn these lights out. So Teresa says, well, with Jen, because I told Jen that she better be nice to my sister-in-law. And of course, Jen being the good puppet that she is, she's like, yeah, Teresa told me last year that I better be nice to you or else. I'm like, y'all two really think that we're idiots. Like, y'all really play the audience for fools. So now Melissa says, well, if that's the case, then how could you stay at her house in the Jersey Shore after she put her hands on me. So of course, Melissa and Teresa are going at it, and now Joe jumps in and brings up the crook comment. He's like, you know, you're my sister. How could you be friends with somebody who's calling your brother a crook? Like, I couldn't imagine if her dad were still alive and he heard somebody calling me a crook. Like, who does that? So now Jen throws Margaret under the bus and just straight up lies on her. She says, well, Margaret said that you were a crook first. Margaret says, girl, you are high most of the damn time. I never said that. And of course, Jen can never apologize, so all she says is, well, it was a passive-aggressive dig. I'm like, there's nothing passive-aggressive about slandering somebody and calling them a crook or saying that they're involved in shady business dealings. So now Andy moves the conversation along, and now he brings up the whole drama between Teresa's daughters and their Uncle Joe. Andy reads a viewer's comment saying how they'd be horrified and disgusted if their daughter ever spoke to their uncle in that manner. So she's like, well, my daughters are strong-minded just like me. Then she adds that her girls watch the show, and Joe interrupts and says, our kids watch the show too, but they don't say anything. They're not disrespectful to you. And I loved when Melissa cut in and said, our daughter watches the show, and do you think that she doesn't have any ill feelings towards you about how you've treated me in the past? And listen, I will always be a supporter of kids speaking up. I don't believe in just because you're older or you're the elder that you have a right to speak to kids nasty. I'm all for a kid speaking back and talking back and, you know, saying, hey, you're going to talk to me with respect. I'm here for that. But in Teresa's daughter's cases, they're a bit out of line because they jump into drama that they should not be involved in. It's not like Joe is saying something nasty to them. He's having conversations with their mom, okay? They should not be getting involved. And Teresa involves her kids. Now, Andy addresses Teresa about Joe Giudice's comments about the Gorgas. And so he's like, well, you know, do you say anything about that? So Teresa says, yeah, you know, it's not right that he says stuff, but like, I'm not going to say anything to him about it. It's like, you have all this mouth for everybody else, but none of that directed towards your ex-husband who can't stop running his mouth. Got it. So now Andy reads another viewer question about how Melissa stood up for Margaret and not Teresa. And Melissa says, at the end of the day, Margaret didn't say anything bad. She just brought up what was already out there. And again, whether you like Margaret or you don't like her, you have to be fair. Margaret did not say anything that the blogs have not been saying for the past year and a half. If the shoe were on the other foot, if somebody else had a brand new boyfriend and there were rumors swirling about them, Teresa would have brought it up to the forefront and she would be egging it on and saying a whole lot worse. We know how Teresa is. I don't understand this dynamic where Teresa can say and ask whatever she wants, but nobody can direct that same energy towards her. If your man is this great guy like you claim he is, then there should be no issue with anybody asking a question. But just like I suspect, Teresa is defensive because she knows in her heart that something ain't right. But she's so desperate for love, and like I said, she's a pick-me at her big age. She's just deathly afraid that this man is the last chance that she has at love. And God forbid anybody burst her love bubble and she's alone. So now the whole mess of when Jen called Joe Gorga a bitch boy down in the Jersey Shore comes back up. And Joe is still pissed, and he's like, you're friends with a woman who would call me that? Like, are you serious? So now Jen says, well, you know, that's what you were. You're acting like a bitch. Can you imagine if Melissa or anybody else called Bill a bitch boy? Jen would be out her seat wanting to fight somebody. So Melissa says, that's okay to you, Teresa, to have your girlfriend call your brother, my husband, a bitch? And so Joe says to Teresa, how would you feel if I called Louie a bitch boy? I'm going to start calling him that. So now Teresa says, you know what, that's fine. Like, you know, that's not that bad. I love my bitch boy. I was like, Teresa, you too. You would be the first one trying to fight, flip over tables, cut somebody if they call Louie a bitch boy. So now Melissa checks Jen and she says, it's real funny that you want to call my husband a bitch, but then in the same breath, you're crying about how your husband doesn't defend you. How does that work? And Jen was shook. She was speechless. She had nothing to say. And when she said, well, you know, it's a spectrum, I said, girl, no, it's not. Your husband is an idiot. He was sitting there looking real dumb because you had to fight everybody else by yourself and your husband just watching you fight. You wish you had a man like Joe Gorga, quiet as it's kept. I was glad when Joe Gorga got into your ass and said, honey, you don't know what a real man is because a real man puts his wife on a pedestal. I said, come on, Joe. I said, come on and please let her know. Because say what you want about him, he makes it very clear that Melissa is his one and only. There is no room for anybody to think anything different, okay? He makes it clear that he is still attracted to her because Bill looks like he's checked out half the time. I don't see that chemistry between him and Jen. I don't. And I think that Jen is very jealous of their relationship because Melissa and Joe, they still have that chemistry. And I still didn't forget how when she first came on this show, she was talking about how her and Bill only had sex once a month. That doesn't seem like a marriage that's successful to me. That seems like a marriage that's in trouble. Because I said once a month? Now Teresa interjects and she tries to undermine her own brother. And she's like, you know what, Joe, I'm sorry, but you know, like, you kind of act like you're a housewife. Like, you know, you're just always in girl stuff. And it's like, wow, for you to do that to your own flesh and blood, like, that's just so sad. And Joe was just so livid at this point. And Teresa, don't do that because everybody knows that the Jersey franchise is all about family. And because of that, the husbands and the children on this franchise are a lot more involved than the other franchises. And that's how Jersey was designed. So you need your brother low-key to be on this show because he gives you a good portion of your storyline. So Joe Gorga is pissed. He is just so over it. He can't believe that his sister can be this evil. He walks off and says that he quits. Andy's trying to call him back. He's like, please don't quit, Joe. Like, come back to the stage. Joe says that he's done. He's over it. And then he says, act like a sister for once. And that's where this first part ends. Y'all, I don't know if I'm going to be able to continue watching. I know that part 2 and part 3 are about to send me over. This first part nearly did me in. But I have to say that this was a phenomenal first part. They didn't drag it out with the drama. They got right into it in the first minute. Definitely in my top 5 of reunions across all the franchises. But y'all, thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed my recap. And please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all later. Bye.